Plugging away on those New Year's resolutions to lose some of that belly fat. Well, you'll want to stick around to hear. Someone said, yes, I am. From Jorge Cruz, me too. He just might have the answer for all of us. But first, on New Year's Day, Colorado became the first state in the nation to make marijuana sales legal for recreational use. Stores there can now sell different types of cannabis with names like Kool-Aid Kush or Golden Goat to adults who are 21 or older. And Colorado is not alone. Washington State will allow retail sales of marijuana later this spring. And in 18 other states, plus D.C., medical marijuana is legal with a doctor's recommendation. So we're asking today in our big conversation, are we becoming a marijuana nation? We begin with a behind-the-scenes tour of a marijuana store in Denver owned by an entrepreneur named Andy Williams, who's been seeing a lot of green these days in more ways than one.
Medicine Man is a medical marijuana center as well as a retail center for marijuana. We're the largest single dispensary in Colorado. When we started, my brother Pete and I and my cousin Frank, we sat down and purposely said, we wanted to be the Costco of marijuana. You know, great product, great price, great service.
For the first time, you can buy marijuana legally in parts of Colorado, purely for recreational use.
January 1st, we actually tripled our best day ever. And the second and third day, we doubled our best day ever. It's been incredible. We're in Medicine Man's room called the Green Mile. This is how we create more plants. Here you see Golden Goats, Sour Strawberry, Ghost Train Haze. They'll have different strengths as well as different flavors, different aromas. This is where we dry the marijuana. It dries for 8 days. This one here is real beautiful. It's a Kouric Kush. We take it off this rack and we take it off the stem. We put it in a light-tight and airtight bucket where it will cure for about a month. The flavor and the cannabinoids will all fully develop at that time and be an excellent product.
Very deeply, so Christy from Colorado, so you'll be limited to an ounce?
For me, I've got MS, okay, so I'm looking for something that kind of helps with that.
Okay. We have 70 different strains from which to choose. And we also have lots of variety of edibles. Anything from brownies to hard candies to tinctures and concentrates and drinks, pixie sticks, you name it, it's there.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So please welcome all the way from Denver, Colorado, Andy Williams. Hi, Andy.
Thank you.
I'm not going to say I loved your rendition of Moon River, Andy, and I have a lot of questions to ask you. But first, before we have our conversation, joining us via satellite is Denver Mayor Michael Hancock. And Mayor Hancock, I know the majority of citizens in Colorado supported the legalization of recreational marijuana, but you didn't feel wholly comfortable with the idea. Why is that?
Well, first of all, hello, Katie. I will tell you that, I'm a child of the 80s and having watched firsthand the devastation of our urban communities following the advent of crack cocaine in our communities. I knew a lot of folks who got addicted to crack cocaine. Their families were devastated. Children were left without their parents. Just an absolute devastation of many of our urban communities. Those folks started as heavy marijuana users. And so I was very concerned about legalizing any illicit drug on the impacts on our children and the quality of life in our communities. But I must say, the industry as well as the citizens and the public servants of Denver did a very good job in rolling out this new industry on January 1.
Well, I know, Mayor Hancock, under the new law that a Colorado resident can buy up to 1 ounce of marijuana, no more than that. But what is to keep a consumer from going from store to store to store and exceeding the legal limit?
Katie, there's no real practical way to stop someone from doing that. The reality is the law says that at any given time you can't and should not have more than 1 ounce of marijuana on your person. But people will try to do that. But this is about responsible use of marijuana. And I believe that's what the people, the citizens of Colorado voted on when they passed this legislation here in Colorado.
So you're putting a lot of faith in the citizens of the state.
We have to, and we have to do it with regards to marijuana or alcohol use or any other product that may impair one's ability, whether they're operating a car or may impair their health and well-being. And so, yes, we have to put that on adults and responsible use, and hope that, of course, they are responsible and they do everything they can to not only protect themselves, but from people that they come in contact with.
Now, is there a monitoring process in place to ensure that the marijuana being sold is in fact pure?
You know, Katie, that is a state regulatory function, but I do know for a fact that the state is working very hard to make sure that any of the consumable, whether through smoking or edibles, that they are pure and that they're healthy for people to ingest.
I know that you were on the city council, Mayor Hancock, when medicinal marijuana became legal. And I'm wondering, what lessons did you learn from that have helped you implement this current policy?
Well, first and foremost, you want to have some overriding guiding principles, Katie. Ours were, simply protect the health, safety, and well-being of our citizens. We want to make sure that we protect the quality of life of our neighborhoods. And thirdly, and just as importantly, protect our children and youth in our communities. And so as we implement this new retail model in Denver, we wanted to make sure that we did everything we could to uphold those guiding principles, and that's why we did a moratorium for 2 years. I only allowed those medical marijuana operators to roll into retail, and we knew that we could work with them to put together a responsible regulatory framework and responsible implementation of the new laws here in Colorado.
Well, good luck with everything, Mayor Michael Hancock. Thanks so much for talking with us today. We really appreciate it. Nice to talk to you. Meanwhile, Andy, as we heard Mayor Hancock say, you cannot possess more than an ounce of pot.
That's right.
So you actually brought something for us, an example. Now, we should point out this is not real pot, everybody. We're not allowed to have that on the set, but this is the kind of thing that Hollywood uses in movies. And so this is an ounce of pot in your right hand?
That's correct.
And that's a lot of marijuana.
It is.
That can make 60 joints, something like that? Isn't that funny to hear me say 60 joints? I'm sorry, and I'm the biggest square, by the way, so...
Really about 30 joints if you roll them properly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I stand corrected. And how much marijuana is in this?
This would be a quarter ounce. So if you came from New York, you'd be able to buy a quarter ounce of marijuana, which is represented here.
So if you're out of state, that's
right.
The limit, a quarter ounce.
That's correct.
So, we just heard Mayor Hancock talk about this, Andy. Do you think this is enforceable, some of the regulations that have been put in place?
It is enforceable. This is the second time Colorado's gone through the legislative and rulemaking process and implementation for marijuana rules. And we've all learned a lot of great lessons. We work very well together. Like the mayor said, we came together as a community in the marijuana industry, people that oppose marijuana, the police, the legislators, etc., and came up with a great foundation in terms of the rules and regulations. But then in addition, Colorado passed taxes that fund that enforcement, as well as $40 million a year to schools.
Yeah, the taxes on the marijuana are very high, correct?
They are, but that proves that we're going to have the funding necessary for the enforcement to make sure that the industry is playing by the rules, and we have too much to lose not to.
And Andy, let's say my 18-year-old daughter comes into your shop and wants to buy marijuana. What's to keep her from doing that?
The security guard at the door checking IDs.
What if she has a fake ID?
They're trained. These guys are trained in what to look for. So,
what if she asks a 21-year-old friend to buy her pot?
Well, if he does that on my property, the security guard is going to tell him to leave. But I can't keep her from doing that off-site. That's something that responsible adults have to take responsibility for.
I worry about people getting high and then getting behind the wheel. I know obviously when it comes to liquor, they're blood alcohol tests. But are you concerned about people smoking and driving?
Yes, certainly. The industry is very concerned that everyone acts responsibly with marijuana. We need to do that to show to the rest of the country, to the world, that this is not any different from alcohol or wine. You go to the store, you pick some up, you go home, maybe when the kids are away or in bed, you want to have date night, then you get it out then. But not while you're driving. And the industry works very hard to educate people about that.
And there is a test, I guess, that can check the level of marijuana in your bloodstream as well, correct?
There is, but there's a large debate right now on what level that should be. A chronic marijuana user will always have some sort of elevated THC in their system, and so they're trying to see what level is the right level to do, or maybe it's another test that they have as well. So, but that will happen. There will be a test. The debate's ongoing right now.
Your business is booming, as we heard. So what is your biggest concern about all this?
I was asked that a while back, and when I first started this business, I would have dreams on a weekly basis, if not more, that were so vivid, of being in a federal prison, never seeing my kids again, my family. And I would wake up and it would take a moment for me to realize that it was a dream.
But you were in the medicinal marijuana business before this, correct?
I was. But in 2009, things were a little bit different. They were scary then. But now my big concern is, do I have enough marijuana to meet demand? And I love having a great business concern like that. I don't have the dreams anymore.
Now, this is a weird question, but are you a big pot smoker?
No, I don't use marijuana.
Really?
It affects me very poorly. Yeah. But I do love growing it. It's a wonderful plant, and I see what it does for people. Every day I have people coming in telling me what it does for them. And it's a wonderful business to be in, to help people like that.
Well, Andy Williams, thank you very much for coming in today.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting us.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And up next is legalized marijuana headed to your state. And how do we talk to our kids about all this? The answer is when we come back.